think in a kind of made-with way. I think the idea is that John and Carlos are going to do a kind of, what do you describe it, John? A sort of interactive Q&A.
Yeah,
I suppose Q&As are interactive, aren't they?
A conversation.
That's the one. Carlos Grande, so Carlos Grande and John will have a conversation, as John says. Carlos was FT Creative Business Editor.
Yes.
And we'll get the best out of John. So, Carlos and John.
It is very different, lots of literal and metaphorical journeys. So when you start from the beginning, what prompted you to write this book?
Probably, I mean, a book's like a river and there are all kinds of streams that come into it. I'd been published in Turkey and I'd been going there for the last 8 years, and I'd sort of describe Istanbul as a bit like Americans think Paris is. It's just fabulous, overblown, literary, glamorous culture. You can see why they produce several Palme d'Or winning movies, such amazing novelists, such beautiful kind of crafted design. And it struck me that the region was misunderstood. There was a particular event I was at 5 years ago where a famous international speaker, I named in the article and campaign, I didn't actually even think about them, it was Kevin Roberts, who wrote Love Marks. And so I was chairing this conference and he's the keynote speaker, and he stood up and he said, do you know, I was staying in a hotel, in a motel by the airport last night, and I turned on the telly, do you know, there was just one terrible ad after another, and you Turks have really got to sort out your creative standards. There's no point in having this conversation about love marks and grand strategy and global brands if you can't just pull your creative socks up. So I'm going to Saatchi's this afternoon. I'm going to tell them, just improve your reel. We'll have the bigger conversation later. I thought, incidentally, it was probably the rudest start. I mean, I know he was sort of a big All Blacks fan and quite an aggressive guy and, you know, all this kind of stuff, but I thought it was quite a culturally sort of unsensitive way to start an international conference. And there was this brilliant moment in the afternoon where Marker, who's a local, he's sort of like the local John Hegarty, stood up and said, do you know what, I was in Chicago last week. He does support, I'm sort of translating his accent, but he is a bit like Dave Tross or something. He said, I turned on the TV and there was nothing but crap. and you know, they've really got to improve their creative standards. He said, well, I'll just show you what I've been working on. And he played his reel and it was brilliant because Turks are brilliant at humour, at staging, at spectacle. They've got really great cinematic production industry. Rather like Britain, a lot of the people who made the cinema made their money from working on advertising. So it struck me that there was a gap in the perceptions of what I perceived as one of the great places of creating culture, of which brands are a part.